Hi sumo fans. For those who don't know, when I'm not buying or selling Tagata, I'm keeping stats on the ever controversial Henka. 2024 marks 5 years of data, meaning I have watched and rewatched about 15,000 tachiai. On a macro level, those 5 years have given 571 different attempted Henka by 70 Rikishi. Overall, there were 368 victories that started with a Henka, which gives us a 64.4% success rate. Today, we'll look at the leaderboard over time and drill into the 2024 data in more detail. So let's get to it. So here are the top 6 users of Henka across the past 5 years. Between them, they account for almost 40% of all Henkas used from 2020 to 2024. Of interest, all of these rikishi are under 140 kilos, where the average weight of Sekitori is close to 160 kilos, so it remains a small rikishi's game. Chiyoshima is the top active Sekitori, ahead of Midori Fuji and Tobizaru. Terutsuyoshi way out in front though, even though he's retired, with 53 attempted Henka over that time. So let's turn our focus to 2024. Use of the Henka is down on previous years, as some of our big users from the last slide have retired, or in the case of Enho, have dropped to a lower division. Effectiveness is consistent with the long-term average. If we look at the difference in weight between a rikishi using a Henka and their victim, on average they're 17 kilograms lighter than their opponent when they use a Henka. Days 2 and 14 of a tournament have the lowest likelihood of seeing a Henka, and days 12 and 13 are the most popular, as rikishi try to avoid makikoshi or try to stay on the leaderboard. Now here is our Makuuchi summary data for 2024. Endo leads the way from Midori Fuji and then Abi. The concerning stat for me is that 20% of Endo's wins for the year started with a Henka. Now I'll allow you to pause this slide and soak in the data if you want for a few seconds before we move on to the next slide. Now on to Juryo. Now note that several of these guys have spent time in other divisions, so I've included how many bouts they have per division as well. Asakuryu and Tohakuryu are in front. Endo again though, over-dependent on the Henka to get his wins. Once again, feel free to pause this slide before you move on to the next one if you want to look at the data some more. Now if we combine the last two tables, you get your 2024 winner, if you can call him that, of Endo. With a 91% success rate, expect more of the same from him in 2025. 11 Henkas overall, well in front of Asakuryu and then Midori Fuji in 3rd place. The top 8 here also account for 57% of all Sekitori Henka attempts for the year. Midori Fuji though should probably ease back, as he is actually less likely to win when he uses a Henka than when he just does straight up sumo. So, one aspect that I've wanted to explore for a few years now is the concept of nature versus nurture. Is there a potential correlation between a heya and the use of Henka by their rikishi? Let's dig into this for the 2024 data and see what we find. So if we map Henka by heya and also the number of Sekitori that each of those heya have, we get a pretty good idea of whether some oyakata may be more accommodating of their rikishi using a Henka. So here are the heya with the highest numbers of Henka for 2024. Now in the case of most heya, we see that single rikishi account for all or almost all Henka. And so it's more likely in these cases that an individual rikishi's nature is causing the high numbers of Henka for that heya. But when we look at oitekaze and kisebeya, we see multiple rikishi with multiple Henka, which indicates we could have oyakata who train rikishi to use it just like any other legitimate technique in sumo. I'll be interested to explore this more across all 5 years of data in the coming weeks and see if there's a wider trend, and I'll post that separately. Now, finally, here are the 12 most Henked men in sumo for 2024. Poor Gonoyama is out in front on 4, and he lost every time he was Henked. Kageyaki and Kinbozan also with 4, but are better at avoiding the losses when this happens. Given there are 12, I really think sumo could make a fortune selling most Henked men of sumo calendars. Who wouldn't want that on their office wall? I know I would. Well, that's it, everyone. A quick 5.5 minute snapshot of Henkas for 2024. Thanks for coming down the rabbit hole with me again this year. And you can find all Sekitori Henka data from 2020 to 2024 in a spreadsheet in the files area of the Sumo 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 Facebook page if you want to dig into it a little further. Thanks again. I'll post again this time next year.